Over the last couple of weeks, I've been testing the first Android XR headset on the market. And today I'll tell you everything you need to know about the spatial computer powered by Gemini. I'll be testing the headset's most promising features, from controlling your smart home like turning on the lights or checking your camera feed, to diving into apps like YouTube for watching videos on a giant screen, Adobe Pulsar to edit spatial content on the go, and Google Maps to explore our beautiful planet. On top of that, we'll build the ultimate work setup, jump into gaming with the Galaxy controllers, do a full deep dive on comfort plus how to improve it, and of course compare it to Apple Vision Pro. Full disclosure, I purchased the hardware myself, so as always, opinions are my own. So for $1,800 in US dollars, you get a spatial computer, 4 head accessories, light shields, cleaning cloth, an external battery, cables, charger, and a bundle of year-long subscriptions. I really like the look of the Galaxy XR, whose design gives me major flashbacks to my old Quest Pro. The strap is made of plastic and the front panel of aluminum and glass, housing all the sensors and cameras. It's powered by the Snapdragon XR2 plus Gen 2 chipset, paired with 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. It can be extended through its USB-C slot that also supports wired headphones and makes APK sideloading easy. By the way, getting in is super straightforward, as this is one of the only HMDs that doesn't require a phone for initial setup, being fully standalone. So yeah, throughout my career I've owned several headsets with rigid straps, and outside of keeping my hair in great shape, I have yet to own one that nails the comfort, and the Galaxy XR, sadly, is no different. The wild part is that it's one of the lightest headsets on the market today, but because of its strap, it feels like one of the heaviest. Even my AVP feels lighter with its dual knit band, showing that it's all in the design. Since the back doesn't really have any weight to it, using a face cover with no cheek support and the absence of an overhead strap means all the weight is going to your forehead. Besides, the front visor is quite narrow, and yes, you can try to compensate that with the face cushions or wear none at all, but the shape remains the same. I have to wear the headset real tight and tilted at an awkward angle to squeeze my eyes into the optical sweet spot, and because of that, I can't use it for longer than 20 minutes before it starts giving me a serious headache. Without proper counterbalance, an overhead strap, custom light seals, or being modular like Apple with AVP, your options become limited. The community has already started making 3D printed top support, while others have gone as far as cutting theirs in half to attach it to other brand straps. But for the price you pay, you should not have to do this. If your forehead is deemed worthy, the pancake lenses can look stunning. The dual micro OLED displays deliver rich colors and deep blacks, and compared to AVP, it's actually a bit higher in resolution vertically. But Apple's new M5 chip gives their headset a 10% pixel increase that still makes it look sharper, which is mostly noticeable when reading smaller text. For entertainment, that doesn't really matter, but for productivity, it can make a difference. The brightness can be turned up to the point where it makes my eyeballs burn, so that's an approval from me, and in many situations the foveated rendering is quite effective. The field of view feels roughly the same as Vision, but in my opinion the Galaxy definitely seems a bit more rounded vertically. During my testings, I also noticed some glare and light leaking in from the sides. It is good to know that the face shields are removable, and if you wear glasses, then no worries, Codex prescription lenses snap right in. The quality of the Passthrough feels closer to that of Quest 3, with the same motion smearing around lights as the AVP. It's fully depth correct, and while 90 to 120 Hz doesn't sound dramatic on paper, Apple's refresh rate has a clear advantage in smoothness. Right now, Galaxy's Passthrough looks dark, oversaturated and noisy from over-sharpening, with motion blur during quick head turns. Out of all the headsets I own, the AVP still delivers the most natural soft Passthrough, but I'm sure that with a few software tweaks, the Galaxy could get on a similar level. Now, the way you navigate Android XR is through a combination of hand, gaze, and voice. First off, hand tracking is a bit of a mixed bag. Sometimes it's responsive enough to make your way around, even in low light. Jumping from listening to music to watching videos can feel really satisfying when the headset is in a good mood. But when it isn't, it's super frustrating. Dealing with serious delays, making your pointer drift, or doesn't register gestures at all. The eye tracking has been more consistent, but without good hand tracking there's not much you can do besides switching over to controllers, but more on these $250 peripherals later. I do think these issues can be ironed out over time, but compared to AVP's launch, it feels like they rushed it to market. Anyways, stepping aside the headset makes you dive into virtual reality. Samsung has way more environments than AVP, and while many of them look good at first glance, it's clear they're mostly flat skyboxes. Lower in resolution than the headset itself, static in nature, and surprisingly have no ambient sound. When you watch a video or a movie, the environments don't dim or use ambient lighting for the ultimate cinema experience. On AVP you get less environments, but look far better with great detail. Have a theater mode that automatically dim your surroundings and support watch parties with up to 5 people. Plus your hands show up everywhere you go, while on Galaxy those are missing. If you turn on developer mode, there is a little workaround to keep your hands on screen, but it's more of a temporary hack. As of today, when it comes to ease of use and functionality, Android XR feels closer to Meta's Horizon OS than Apple's visionOS, which is more polished and refined. Of course, the AVP has been out for 2 years, while the Galaxy just launched, so comparing them isn't necessarily fair. But in some areas, Google had plenty of time to learn from visionOS. For example, I was hoping to already see their answer to Apple's widgets that blend seamlessly into your space. Considering how many smart devices Google makes, many of which I proudly own by the way, this felt like the perfect chance to tie them all together. Where the Galaxy XR easily beats AVP though is in its Gemini integration. This is the first headset that has been designed with AI in mind, seeing what you see and guiding you through virtual and mixed reality. But I'll get to that soon. When we zoom in on Android XR's storefront, it doesn't take long to find out it's in its early stages, with only a handful of developers having made spatial apps that take advantage of the headset. Beyond that, you can download pretty much every app you use in daily life. They're all mobile versions, but they're functional enough to have running on the side. Still, it'd be great to see apps like Netflix get a native version with 3D movie support and custom environments. Its current library reminds me a bit of where visionOS was 2 years ago. It seems to follow a similar philosophy, a storefront mainly aimed at developers who want to experiment and search for those true killer apps that could win over the mainstream before eventually selling a more affordable headset when the time is right. With Android XR, you're getting an open source platform, a unified set of APIs, and Snapdragon Spaces compatibility, making it easy to bring apps to the Galaxy and future Android devices. A number of apps have already been announced and are on the way. Of course, as a prosumer, you can jump in early to help test and shape the platform with feedback, but if you're expecting a fully developed ecosystem, you'll likely be disappointed. That said, it already has a few standout apps that show real promise. Google Maps is by far my favorite. It makes you feel like Superman, soaring above the earth and exploring anywhere in an instant. It's absolutely gorgeous. Compared to Apple Maps, it's like going from a flat pancake app that never leaves the plate to one that truly embraces spatial computing. Apple should really take notes here. I especially love the Take Me Anywhere feature. It surprises you with random locations around the world. Seeing them in 3D from an eagle-eye view is so special, and the freedom to move around is incredible. Next to being able to jack into regular street view, you'll find Gaussian splats, realistic 3D scans that let you experience what it's like to be there in person. And even better, you can do all of this with Gemini acting as your tour guide, making the app more interactive. My only real critique is the lack of a multiplayer option. Being able to explore together with friends could make it an amazing place to socialize. Next up is Google Photos, that makes great use of the headset's spatial capabilities. With AI, you can turn any photo into a 3D-esque scene and view it from different angles. For videos, you'll first need to capture them on your phone before playing them back in the gallery. The 3D effect is fairly convincing, but could use some work in how far things pop out. As of right now, the ones on Apple's headset are far superior. LiDAR doesn't create the immersive photos, but it does enhance them by giving the device a better sense of depth and space. It is worth mentioning that the Galaxy can shoot spatial content too, but just like the AVP, I have not found much use for it as you don't wear them out like a pair of glasses. As a huge Adobe fan, I was pleasantly surprised when I heard about Adobe Pulsar. This is honestly one of the coolest apps I've used on any headset, and apparently is exclusive to Galaxy XR. You can upload spatial videos into the software and add 3D elements like emojis, text and captions to then upload it to, for example, YouTube. The only drawback is that while the software shows plenty of promise, the Snapdragon chipset struggles to render smoothly and maintain a stable frame rate. And trust me, you'll want to hear more about that during my performance segment. Oh boy. Another standout app is YouTube. It's great to finally see it running on Android XR. Lying down isn't ideal because of the strap's design, but it still feels awesome to build your own mini cinema. Videos look beautiful at the highest settings and, if you want, can be downloaded for offline viewing. But because there is no travel mode yet, you'll have to wait till you can use it on a plane. Besides stunning video, the headset's spatial audio sounds rich and detailed. Sadly, wireless headphones aren't that reliable. There's a noticeable delay and some don't even fit over the rigid strap. Going fully wired or choosing earbuds with a special USB-C receiver are the safest options. Anyways, YouTube also comes with a spatial tab, which is genuinely impressive. Not only letting you watch 360, 180, but even auto-spatialized content with a subtle 3D effect. In this area, AVP still falls behind as it has no YouTube app at all. Ouch. And speaking of immersive viewing, the only place that currently offers 3D movies is Google TV. We're only talking about a handful, but at least it's a start. Here, you can also link your other streaming services like Disney Plus and Apple TV. Their immersive cinema environments like Avengers Tower or the gorgeous sandscapes of Tatooine, as well as their 3D movie library and special immersive content are still exclusive to the AVP. And I'm hoping that just like Apple, we'll see Google produce their own. That would be amazing. The app does include its own home theater, but it's not particularly exciting, as it doesn't appear to include any lighting effects or options to tweak your screen. Although you can consult Gemini to help you make a decision on what to watch next. Google is clearly trying to make it feel more than just a voice assistant. It's basically always there, listening in and watching with you, unless you put it on hold. A few times it even randomly complimented my interior design or suggested what music I should play next. Gemini can open and organize your apps, control your entire house through Google Home, changing the temperature or turning on the lights, and summon Google Search with a quick circle gesture. Some of these features are genuinely cool, while others lean a bit more toward gimmicky. It's clear Google is using the headset and its users as a testing ground, a roadmap for future AR glasses, like the ones recently teased. Either way, it's interesting to see what adaptive AI and mixed reality can become. Right now, Gemini already feels like a more capable voice assistant than Siri, who still can answer most questions or visually understand what you're seeing. A totally different subject are the Galaxy avatars. You can create one to your likings and use face and eye tracking to mirror your exact movements. The tracking itself is accurate, yes, but the stiff-looking expressions on these avatars don't do them justice, and remind me a lot of those on Quest Pro. Thanks to Android XR being open source, I've already seen VRChat users enhance theirs with the software, something you can't just do with AVP. Apple's personas obviously blow these out of the water, having made a lot of progress since they came out of beta, and are so real that my mom can't tell the difference anymore. On top of that, they support share play, letting you meet up with others and play with 3D objects together, share spatial photos and videos, and dive into games. Samsung did tease more realistic versions, but we have yet to hear when those come out. The headset also includes a feature called PC Link, transforming it into a monitor for your computer. I wasn't able to try it myself as it only works with Galaxy Books. From what I know, it doesn't support a virtual ultra-wide mode like AVP, but do expect Samsung's to be compatible with way more devices in the future. Ironically, if you switch over to its counterpart, Game Link, you're no longer tied to Samsung's hardware. It lets you stream your PC screen through Steam VR, which is fun for entertainment. But if you're aiming for productivity, it's not ideal. Virtual Desktop is the better option. It's perfect for working across multiple monitors during long sessions, and even supports remote setups. It's worth noting that connecting a Bluetooth keyboard or mouse works flawlessly. Now, when it comes to gaming, you've got plenty of options. My go-to is gaming over the cloud with a controller, using GeForce Now and Xbox Game Pass. The only awkward part is that you can't see your gamepad once you're in VR. But what is sick though is that when you get stuck, you can cheat with Gemini for gameplay tips on the go. In terms of mixed reality games, it does come preloaded with a job simulator spin-off, but it's pretty forgettable. A better example of what MR can do is Cubism, a calm yet challenging puzzle game where you assemble 3D shapes right in front of you. The number of MR apps is still limited, but did launch with an impressive lineup of VR titles. This is where the Galaxy XR has an advantage over the AVP, as many of these games were ported from the Quest, an example of how an open source model pays off. Now, as I said, the Galaxy controllers cost $250. It's a lot, but not unusual because the PSVR 2 controllers for AVP sell for the same price and even include a charging dock. In my experience, the controllers seem to have been mainly designed for navigating Android XR versus using it for games, as it almost feels like the OS was created with those in mind before they started working on hand tracking. For casual games, they're okay, but for full-on PCVR, I don't find them very ergonomic, the haptics being weak and running into inconsistent tracking. Gaming on AVP simply feels more premium, thanks to the Sense controllers that have adaptive triggers, strong haptics and smooth tracking, plus shows all your Apple devices in VR. Despite that, I am happy to report that PCVR gaming on Samsung's headset is a treat for the eyes. With Game Link or Virtual Desktop, you will certainly be wowed. My colleague Brad Lynch even showed how Gemini can translate your virtual surroundings, which is next level. And since I have a Samsung TV, I can share what I see with friends. And this brings me full circle to performance. The Snapdragon handles single tasks like gaming, watching movies, and flying over the Earth just fine, but heavier workloads are tough. After opening more than a few windows, you start to notice slow load times, laggy hand tracking, frames dropping, windows sometimes just disappearing, crashing completely, or the headset losing its memory. I'm sure some of this can be optimized, but it's well that such a beautiful and expensive spatial computer with promising software still runs on a 2-year-old chip, the same one found in the Meta Quest 3S. And for what this headset aims to be, that's not the best combo. In my experience, the AVP's M5 and R1 easily outpace the Snapdragon. Of course, its dual chip design and higher price reflect that, but in return offers stable multitasking, faster load times, steadier anchoring, and smoother on-device AI for developers. Even a second-hand M2, now selling for about the same price as Samsung's, still outperforms the Galaxy. This also shows in how efficient the battery is. The Galaxy XR runs for about 2 hours under general use on full brightness, while the AVP pushes closer to 3.5. You can enable power saving modes or plug it in, but for a headset positioned around entertainment and productivity, a 2-hour runtime feels disappointing. So to wrap things up, the Galaxy is an exciting first step for Android XR, but the platform is already in desperate need of a better future-proof flagship headset, one that doesn't suffer from a flawed design and dated chipset. For developers, it may be a tough decision. Start building for Android XR now and be ahead of the curve, or wait until you get more render power, as it won't be long before Qualcomm introduces its faster next-gen chipset. In the meantime, an AVP seems like the more logical investment, but that depends on whether you want to support Apple's platform. For prosumers mainly wanting to use it for entertainment, it's difficult too. If you can handle the comfort and are willing to be an early adopter of an ecosystem that is in its infancy, then it could be a cool device to own. If you like to play games or are on a budget, the Quest still does the trick and could save you some money when Samsung or Meta eventually release a new headset. Or if you got your eyes on the new Steam Frame. For productivity, I would hold out for now. This headset simply isn't it. If Android is your home turf, then waiting is the better option. But if you're deep into Apple's ecosystem, the AVP is a solid alternative for work. The biggest question still remains: how dedicated will Google be this time evolving Android XR? Throughout its history, we've seen them abandon many projects, such as Google Daydream, but lately they seem to be ready for a comeback, especially with the announcement of their Android XR glasses. If their software is a blueprint for wearables, then the future looks bright. And if Google stays committed, we might finally see Android XR become a true powerhouse in spatial computing and become a serious rival to visionOS. A rising tide lifting all boats.